This is the Vendi Sales Podcast, hosted by Kyle Jagger. Real conversations, sharp insights, and practical tools to help you close smarter and build teams that win.
Good morning, everyone. Super excited to have you join us on another episode of the Vendi Sales Podcast. Today, we are joined by Gabe Naviasky, co-founder, owner, leader at Leadbeam. Leadbeam is a fantastic product that I got introduced to when working with one of my clients when we were looking to get greater efficiency and automation within our CRM usage, and got introduced to Gabe, trialed his product, got onboarded with his product, and our team has been super excited and thrilled with the results it's getting us. So we decided to have Gabe join us. Super thankful you can be here, buddy, and looking forward to this conversation.
Thanks, Kyle. Excited for it.
So I think what would be best is if you can kind of just give the 30,000 foot view of what you do and what you and your team have built and what you're trying to do for the sales world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So what people tend to forget is actually the majority of sales reps are on the road. They're not actually behind the computer. They're not making dials with Sales Loft or Outreach. They're real estate agents. They're selling to restaurants. They're solar agents selling solar panels, or even like medical device. There's so many reps that are out in the field, and technology has for a long time forgotten about them just because it's way easier to build for the desktop, for the laptop. So what Leadbeam is, and one of the major problems we help solve, is that data capture piece. So Kyle, you mentioned, the reps that you work with, they're out on the road all day. They're putting leads into the system. How can you make that as seamless as possible? And what we've done is we've built a way that you can speak into your phone or use your location or take a picture of anything, and instantly all your Salesforce admin work is done and your next steps are completed. But then based on the insights of, okay, the problem that they're having in the field is that they need to capture data, but they're doing so much more in the field. So we've built a full-on end-to-end field sales platform to help them increase their efficiency even more. So everything from lead gen, enrichment, smart routing, data capture, next steps, we're automating all of it with AI and really being that operating system that a field sales rep needs to do in the day.
I love that. And it's so true. When I'm working with clients and we're talking process and efficiency and CRM integrations and all this stuff, and we start looking, and it's like everything seems to be built for, hey, you want to say the inside world or the tech world. And the reality is, especially in my world, I'm working with field sales teams. That's where I grew up. That's where the majority of people, like you said, sell. And our client was, we had some pretty ambitious goals of knocking on between like 20 and 40 doors a day, just hitting them hard, having conversations, finding opportunities. But the admin work was just an absolute bear for them and was really dragging down our results. And that's when we got connected with you. And I can say, hey, we are, after a knock, we're taking maybe not a word of a lie, less than 30 seconds to just speak into our phone and get that uploaded to Salesforce. Is that common feedback you get from people? Like what's the feedback sales teams are telling you right now?
Yeah, so we work with mostly the high velocity field sales. So the people that we're working with, they tend to do 5, 10, 20, 40 drop-ins in a given day. And we've seen that, pre-Leadbeam, they're doing 1 or maybe even 2 to 3 hours of admin a day. And then we're hearing feedback that they're doing less than 1 hour a week after Leadbeam. So that's like a 5, 10x reduction in admin work, which is massive when it comes to, okay, now you're having better data quality. Now you're dropping more activities in a day. You're actually able to, do analytics on that data because you can actually trust it. And just what you said about things being built for the desktop, even mapping products and field sales products that were built in like the 2012 and 2016 range were all built for the managers to help them see what their reps were doing in a day. It was never actually built to make the sales rep's job easier. And everything we do is built with that lens, with design focused, AI focused, automation, like automate the hell out of it. So all they have to do is pick up their phone, press a button, and basically they're done. They're walking to the next location.
It's so funny you say that. I just had a LinkedIn post that got a fair bit of traction when we were talking about, hey, most of the organizations I'm jumping into, the CRM has clearly been built for the managers. And the managers can't figure out why no one's using the CRM. And it's because, hey, we got to build these tools for the salespeople that are using them. And when we build it for the way that they use it and they buy into using it because it actually helps them be more effective, what you mentioned is, hey, you actually do get better data. You do get more data, and you get the right data. So by building it for actually the salespeople, the managers end up with what they want. And I think that's something super cool, which you guys clearly approached, was thinking about, hey, how do we make this specific for the salespeople and not actually just the managers?
You brought up efficiency, but I'd say what's more important to get the overall adoption is tying it back to their paychecks and the sales reps' paychecks. And if they see that putting information into Salesforce will remind them to follow up, let's say the inbound lead comes in 2 weeks later and they haven't put in the system, and then it goes to a inside sales rep and not the outside sales rep. When you're able to tie everything back to, if you put this stuff into Salesforce or into HubSpot, you will ultimately close more deals and make more money, and then be able to track that with data that shows the reps that are putting information into the system and doing the admin work are actually the highest performers in the company. And why is that? It's because they're following up when they say they're going to follow up. Nothing's falling through the cracks. Their pipeline's being tracked. They remember what they talked about previously, so they actually have context in the system to not just repeat what they said the last time they sold to them or tried to help them. They are building on the conversation and teaching them even more and trying to help them even more. That's where the unlock comes, is when you can tie it back to their paycheck and, what's in it for them.
I love that. Yeah, what's in it for them? And hey, a lot of field salespeople are true hunters, and true hunters quite often, hey, the paycheck speaks volumes to them, right? So I think that's a great way to look at it.
Like, I think too many people think all sales reps are actually money motivated. I think some of them are money motivated, but I'd say the majority of salespeople want growth and they want to win ultimately. And if that leads to the highest paycheck, great. But they want to see that like they're learning, they're growing, they're getting better, their company's growing and like hitting momentum, and then ultimately that'll tie back to more money. But I don't think most sales reps are choosing like the utmost top pay tier if their job ultimately sucks and they don't see growth opportunities within their job. That might be, a non-mainstream opinion, but that's kind of what I see there. It's like winning and growth is more important than absolute top paycheck.
Yeah, I think that's a super important distinction. I agree. Not everyone's going for the top paycheck. I see many people turn down roles where they're going to get paid more. It's not about the almighty dollar. Like you said, it definitely helps. And I think, hey, people need to be paid fairly, and good people want to know that they're being paid more than average. But yeah, winning culture, all those things, spot on. And what I've seen in the companies I've worked with is Leadbeam helps build that culture by management saying, hey, we hear you. We understand how hard you guys are working, and we know how much time you're spending on admin. And if we can remove that, you can spend more time in the field. And that's just going to help everybody.
I was talking to one of are really large, like enterprise billion-dollar companies. And one of the things that they said also about just like the reps and helping the reps at is when you have like a culture of, okay, I'm bring Leadbeam in to make your life easier. Ultimately, like it's probably going to increase activity, it's probably going to increase data capture. But if I can help the reps just be happier and build a culture of, yes, we log everything and it saves them time. He's actually thinking about it as reps won't leave because they're happy and they know that the leadership team is giving them the tools to be successful.
Yeah, no, that sounds like an awesome culture. Like I think that's what every manager should be striving for. Like that should be the hat they're wearing. Hey, how can we create this place where we win together, everyone succeeds together, we grow together, and hey, we're going to invest in you because we invest in you, you invest in us, and that's how we win. I love that. I'm super curious. I have a lot of experience with kind of the voice capture side of Leadbeam, talking into the phone and getting that inputted into Salesforce. But you also have a lot of other features, especially helpful for, I think teams with territories or routes or that kind of thing. Can you dive into that side of your products and offering?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the teams we work with, they've captured a lot of data in their system from like, legacy systems. But what we've built is a way that no matter who you sell to, as long as it's in person, we have data on that. So any rep, so I'll just use a restaurant because a lot of our customers are fintech companies who sell to restaurants. Imagine they open up their phone and they say, I'm going to be in the West Village today. And I want to target only coffee shops. We can get super, super specific and pull in all of your, Salesforce lists that are coffee shop specific, as well as layer on top the Leadbeam database leads, where we can say, these are all the coffee shops in the region. And then in one click, we can optimize that route so that you make sure that you're either driving, walking, biking in the most optimized way so that you're not wasting time. This is New York where you'll be walking, but in other territories, you're not wasting time like zigzagging the entire city, going to different meetings. And it's like, okay, I have my anchor meeting that we're pulling from our calendar that's on the map already. We're going to start our route from that meeting and hit all of the businesses that are good fits around it. And then while doing that, we can also say, oh, John's Coffee is a customer down the street. Your Ben's Coffee, if you transfer over to our payment system, will actually increase your revenue by 20% because that's what we saw with John's Coffee when they transitioned over. And that type of social proof and being able to really quickly optimize your day, have the leads that aren't in your system fully enriched, so know who the owners are before you walk in, and then know who the customers are nearby that are similar businesses so that you're able to really quickly reference them and ultimately close the deal, showing the benefits that another nearby customer with social proof has seen. We tend to see increases, win rates a lot. So, to simplify everything, it's really just like an end-to-end solution. You wake up in the morning, you pull up your map, you know where the meetings are that you have, you put all the good fits on the map, you optimize it, and then you just go. And we just take you throughout your day.
That's amazing. When you talk about, say, we use that coffee shop example, if you're in New York, I assume tons and tons of coffee shops pop up. Are there ways or tools or tricks to get that list more specific or more targeted aside from, hey, just show me all the coffee shops and go in there? Or do you need to have some understanding of your territory to kind of pick and choose your way through that? Or do you guys just say, hey, hit everyone and then put some data in Salesforce and then we can filter that in the future? Like how does that part work for making the most of your day?
Yeah, so typically how that would work is we have like technographic and firmographic data that we pull into Leadbeam to help them be as prepared as possible for every meeting. Most of the companies we work with, though, the whole reason why they're doing field sales is to build density in a given region. So they want to go to every business. So they know where their customers are in that given territory. And then they know my job is in for the next month to convert every single coffee shop in this area to our product. And that's just like one example, but in all field sales companies that we work with, where they really see the curve switch is once they hit density and they start getting multiple businesses in one given area, and they say they are the leader in that given zip code. You're missing out if you're not on our platform. And that's how the earliest field sales, like SMB companies, scaled, like the Toast, like the Squares. They got out there, they got 5 or 6 businesses on a given street to use their product, and then they were like, "You're missing out. They're getting such good benefits from using our product. How can we drive deeper into this market?"
Totally. I love that approach. You guys have done some incredible things in the field sales community, and just really poured into it and given a lot of tools. I assume, or you folks probably see maybe some other gaps or areas. Like what else is holding field sales teams back from being their best selves? And are there ways we can fix that, or are people trying to address some of those things with technology? What do you see out there?
Yeah, I think it's what's really challenging about field sales versus inside sales is when you have an inside sales team, a lot of times you're in an office, you're all together, you're making calls, you're like, "Okay, Kyle, like you should have done XYZ better. Like here's how you should overcome that objection." When you're out in the field, a lot of that's missed. Like you can't just be tap Kyle and be like, "You didn't do that correct," because a lot of that data is not there. I think there's opportunities, maybe not in the space that we're currently playing with like the high velocity field sales drop in space, but in a lot of we have a demo set up. We're going to do the demo in person. We're going to do the installation in person. I think there's opportunities to record entire conversations and really help. How do we improve the talk tracks of what's actually happening, and then have all of that flow in to Salesforce? And what that'll do is that'll allow a lot more, even more visibility into what's going on. That being said, for cold drop-ins, that can be a little weird. You're walking into a bar, you're talking to the owner of the bar, he's probably not going to want to be recorded. So there's some, differences there depending on what industry you're targeting. But how a lot of companies that I work with are doing it, they just say they're recording the conversation just to keep better notes so that you can have a better follow-up. And then you can stay on top of what you're doing. So I can be the best sales rep and help you in the best way possible. So that's just like the way to overall frame that. I think there's also a lot of opportunities with how can you simplify all of like the reporting that that Salesforce does. For example, they just released like an MCP that you're able to actually like talk to your Salesforce and be able to, in natural language, get specific metrics and specific things, such as like, what did you do last week? And can you write follow-ups for everything that I did last week? And that's all stuff that we're going to be baking into our product in the next 2 weeks, which I'm really excited to share as well.
Wow. So my whole lens is always trying to look at things from a leader's perspective. Hey, how can we as leaders use this technology to help us coach our team? How can we help us be more purposeful or intentful when we're on the road or walking alongside our sales reps? How can we best assist them in sales meetings based on the data in our system, etc.? How does Leadbeam? How do you see it helping leaders lead better?
Yeah. So there's a couple things that I've noticed with some of the sales leaders that I've worked with. Number one is pre-Leadbeam, a lot of the leaders were telling their new managers that they were hiring that you just have to be okay with being blind. And honestly, like I'm not okay with that statement. I think it's, you should have the visibility and you should make it as easy as possible for your reps to do that. But from a manager perspective, some of the ways that you're able to use, the data that you're capturing, and the ways that we've used it is we've for companies identified specific days of the week that are actually 2 to 3 times more likely to book meetings with. Like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you're so much more likely to book meetings than on Friday. And what that could do is that could lead to decisions down the road of why don't we not actually prospect on Friday and do that from the office, and you'll be that much more effective. And previously, before Leadbeam, they would be putting all their notes in on Friday, so you would never be able to capture that information. Similarly, because the data is coming in real time, we can say, okay, these types of businesses are actually, you're much more likely to book meetings in the afternoon rather than the morning. And for example, you'd be able to spot check if a rep is going into a bunch of quick serve restaurants at 12 to 2, it's probably not the right time to do that, being that that's the lunch rush. And you should probably work around that. So you'd be able to spot check and make sure that your reps are doing the right behaviors for them to be successful. And then the last piece I'll key in on is from a preparation standpoint. So everything that a rep does from a mapping and routing perspective in Leadbeam shows up on a dashboard for their managers, so that managers can actually see, did this rep actually prepare for their day? Are they targeting, or did they plan to target the right businesses? Now, that doesn't mean that they're actually going to do everything on that list, and they're not going to, when you're out in the field walking around, there's definitely, you're not going to stay exactly to what you prepared, but it's a plan. And it should be 80-90% there. And if you're able to say, Kyle, why did you plan this day? Looks like it's not optimized, and a quarter of these businesses are already our customers. Why are we stopping in there and not net new prospects? And then Kyle, you could respond back to me and say, Gabe, we're trying to really push referrals right now. So maybe it is good that I'm dropping by my customers, or maybe that's not a focus right now. And by being able to have that visibility, you'll be able to see things that you wouldn't be able to see if your reps were just saying, I'm going to hit the West Village today. See you this afternoon.
Absolutely. You've had the privilege of working with a growing number of companies as you guys have built this awesome product. What's one or two of your favorite success turnaround stories you've seen firsthand? And what did that do for that company?
Yeah. So, one of the biggest success stories is one of the first customers we actually ended up working with. It was a company called SumUp, $8 billion company based out of the UK. And when they started using Leadbeam, they averaged 8 activities a day per rep, when the reps were actually expected to hit 30 to 40. And then post Leadbeam, they were implemented. It took them a couple weeks to really get into it, really get used to the product. And we were still really early. This was almost over a year and a half ago. But then within a couple months, on average, for the reps that were using it, they were doing 28 to 30 activities a day. And that was one of the specific companies that was able to find specific insights about, okay, what industries do we actually need to target? What are our conversion rates with those industries? Because I talked to a lot of other big companies who can't even tell me the amount of drop-ins it takes for them to book a meeting, which is such table stakes when you're talking inside sales. But for outside sales, for these multi-billion-dollar companies, they still can't say that. So by being able to actually track these activities, they're able to get so much deeper with who's doing the right behaviors, what are the right companies we're targeting, what are the best reps doing, and how can we then replicate that for the rest of the team? So that's one success story. In terms of another success story, one of the early companies we worked with also is called Flipdish. They had about 4 to 5 field sales reps when they started working with Leadbeam. They've grown that to, I think, about 30 right now in the last year. And then pre-Leadbeam to post-Leadbeam, they've actually seen a 38% increase in revenue per rep, which when you're talking about productivity and seeing gains with AI, that is a really huge number that we really like to key in on.
That's insane. That's amazing. I think, hey, me like anyone, we're all salespeople at heart. We love a good sales story. I'd be super curious to hear, if you can, how do you get an $8 billion company as one of your first companies? Like that's like that's the mountaintop of sales by the sounds of it. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're an early stage startup, I really live and die by you have to be everywhere all the time, all at once, and just do everything. What I was doing was getting creative. I sent a LinkedIn post and asked, did anyone need a job? And then, or not a job, does anyone need help finding a job? Was how I framed it. And then a rep who reached out to me, he just left his other job. He used to work at this company, SumUp, and he said, sure, I'll take a call. So 15 minutes later, I was talking to him. I was saying, okay, these are some opportunities I know in my network that might be hiring. He's like, what do you do? Like, why are you helping me? Like, this is weird. I've never had someone be so nice to me. And he said, and then I told him about my company and what I do. And he's like, I might have a perfect fit for you. He introduced me to his old manager, who is currently at SumUp. He joined the team a month after they started using Leadbeam. So he then rejoined the team as like a boomerang hire. And then, yeah, was a top performer through that. So he gave me the intro into the manager. The manager then introed me into the VP of sales and director of RevOps. And then I gave them a full-on money-back guarantee for 3 months. If it doesn't work out, I'll give you all your money back. And it worked. And we got adoption, and they were able to increase that activity just like I mentioned earlier.
I love that, man. That's hey, in the world of AI and whatnot, everyone is, talking, hey, how can you be creative? How can you be personal in your outreach and your sales tactics? And that's it 101 right there. That's amazing. I love that story. Yeah, before we let you go, really appreciate the time today. Anything we didn't talk about Leadbeam, about how it helps sales teams that we should probably circle back onto? I know all my listeners most of them are in the field, will be super interested in this. So I just want to make sure they get all the insights they can get from this conversation.
I think it's really important to make sure you're planning your day. There's a lot of talk about in-field execution. What are you doing when you're actually there? How do you do your pitch? How do you put your data in the system? I think there's a lot less enablement and focus on what are you doing before you actually head out to make sure you can be as efficient and effective as possible in the field. And are you setting yourself up for success each and every day or each and every week? And it only takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but the productivity boost that you can get from going through your accounts that you want to go through that day, seeing what's your ideal plan for the day, having a schedule or a scheduled meeting that you want to stop by and prospect around, all of that will really be the difference of if you hit quota or you exceed quota or you don't. And I think more of a focus needs to be put on the preparation piece versus actually what are you doing in the field. Both are important, but I think it's often left behind.
I love that message. I will echo that message, from planning your targets to planning your day to planning your stops. It's all going to compound when we talk about those small wins lead to big wins. Gabe, how can the people listening today or watching, where can they find you personally? Where can they find your business? How can they follow along?
Yeah, so the business leadbeam.ai, LEADBEAM. You can find me at Gabe at leadbeam.ai or search, LinkedIn. We're hiring for SDRs, account executives, customer success reps, and we're growing super fast. So if you know anyone, either remote, preferably in New York, but remote also, I'm more than happy to, see if it's worth a conversation, but please reach out if you or anyone else, knows anyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gabe. Really appreciate the insights. I know the listeners will be super appreciative of everything you've shared today. And before we go, just, hey, remember, sales managers, sales leaders out there, get in the trenches and go sell with your team. Cheers.
Thanks, Kyle.